Hey, those for you on the line. A couple people are still getting in, so we'll start this in just a couple minutes. Thank you. Hey, team online, just I'm keeping everybody on mute for now, but we'll open up for discussion after the presentation. Got a couple more people walking in.
Once we came in late, also we have a sign and speed over on the table. Thank you. One sign.
Yeah. And I'll just like point to you to defend, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna put it on the top.
Yeah. All right, for those of you in line in the meeting hall, thank you all for coming by. This is the uh, environmental justice public hearing for the Bayonne Energy Center's Title V renewal permit that we do every 5 years. Thank you all for participating. Again, for those of you online, we're going to keep you muted until the end of the presentation. At that point, we'll take comments, and then also for all of us here in the hall, we'll take public comments after the presentation. After I go through these slides, I'll sort of quickly go through the slides because we do have a lot of people, and it was mentioned by the DEP that if we have a lot of people, let's just get to the slides and get some public comments in there from y'all. From the assuming we have. All right, click the thing. All right, so what we're here again, public hearing in person. We have virtual. It's being recorded in a Teams environment. Also have a transcript, and all that will be posted on the DEP website. And I'm sure you all found the DEP website with our environmental justice impact statement and related materials, all the public notices and such. Sorry, go back one more. We're going to go through the overview, go through the EJIS, and then at that time open for public comments. And then again, the website, and y'all probably have that too. I know there was a QR code with stuff, and so it's all there. Next, please. Yep. Applicability. So, why are we here? New Jersey DEP. Oh, yeah. Can we make it any bigger?
I can move this table back, maybe.
We'll do 2 seconds here. And if not, I'm assuming this is going to be posted. And this is all just a regurgitation of what was online on the environmental justice impact statement. There's nothing different here. A little few, but
I had it set up for you guys.
got it dialed in.
There we go.
So the applicability is one of the first tiers of applicability if you're a major facility. And our power plant is a major facility for the Title V air permitting. Second is in the environmental justice regulation. If there's the OBC block group, the overly burdened community block group, if your facility is in that, of which we are. And I'll show some pictures of the block group for y'all there. There's 3 criteria. There's a percentage of low income or minority or limited English proficiency. And in our specific block group, it's considered over the 40%, 57% minority there. Next. And so what are these requirements? We have to prepare the environmental justice impact statement that we saw online. And then there's this public participation and public notifications, of which we put out in the newspapers, online. We have signs at our facilities, and obviously holding this public hearing to get the public involved and get comments and from you all on that.
Hey, Matt, the slides aren't moving.
Oh, the slides aren't moving. Sorry about that. I got to do my job. Great catch. Yeah. And getting your comments in, we'll take those, synthesize those, work on responses, and have those posted also on that online at the New Jersey DEP website as well. And so what's required here at this hearing, per the regulation, we go step by step, summarizing the environmental justice impact statement, and then time for the comments after that. Executive summary of the environmental impact statement is, what's Bayonne Energy Center? Bayonne Energy Center is a 660 megawatt peaking facility. It was constructed in a couple phases. Back in 2012, we had our first phase of 8 units. 2018 had the second phase of 2 additional units. And then we're also building a battery energy storage facility right now to be commissioned later on in 2027. We did go through this EJ process under the administrative order a couple of years ago for a modification that we had there. So we had an administrative order process, but this is the regulatory process. They differ a little bit in the requirements. But we had a hearing back then. It was a virtual hearing. They didn't require the in-person hearing at that time. Community outreach. Bayonne Energy Center is a great community participant. We help out with the local fire department and emergency response. Hey, you can come and sit down. Holding drills at the plant, so helping the guys train up in real industrial environments. Also giving to the community with Shop for the Cop and Miracles for Maloma and a number of organizations helping out with that. Also recognition from the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission and the fire department, still appreciation. We're still always working with the community there. More on the executive summary. So what we're going to cover each of these little sections of the environmental justice impact statement, supplemental information, and also there's specific requirements for renewal applications within the environmental justice regulation that we have to go through. So all those sections will be going through in the next half an hour or so. The first section is the municipal and neighborhood setting of the facility. So if you can see, if you check this out on the map, we're in that Constable Hook area, very heavily industrial. We're about a mile away from 440 there, just tucked away on Kill Van Cole. Next. A little bit closer view. We're surrounded by that IMTT tank facility and also Buckeye tank facility to our northeast and west sides. Next. And I'm sorry about this, it's a little bit small, but we'll have these things posted. It's just the land use zoning. So we're tucked away at the far end of the heavily industrial area that's then buffered by some commercial and then residential, a little over a mile away there. Next, please. I mentioned that OBC area, and it's a very large OBC for the area, just because there's a small population to the northwest of that, where there's a small residential area buffered by the commercial and then the industrial there. But if you've seen the EJ map, they have a great information system there to get the information. I'm trying to, I'll have some more water, I'm sorry. Next picture of our actual facility. We have the 10 combustion turbines there, and to your left is where we're building on 1.25 acres of for the battery energy storage facility. It's just a small footstep, about 11 acres of land for that power generation facility. Yeah. The storage is going to be a 50 megawatt, 200 megawatt hour facility. Again, using the same line going into Con Ed. Next, please. Description of operations. Again, the purposes of this application is the 5-year renewal that we initially got back in 2012. Processes used. We have those 10 natural gas-fired combustion turbines with fuel oil as backup on that. 2 emergency black start generators, and regular water treatment facility to make demon water for our processes. 15 employees staffed there. It's there 24/7. And operational characteristics of this power plant is we are a peaking facility, and by the permit we're able to operate around 50% of the time, but we don't. The normal annual capacity factor is really around 15% of the time for these peak demands for the city. The units could also do a fast start, 10-minute fast start, and they complement the oncoming renewables there, where sometimes when the sun goes down or the wind stops blowing for a little bit, these units ramp up and they complement that. And also the facility provides some system restoration and ancillary services to the city too. It's a very critical facility there. Next, more about the operations. And we mentioned that Title V major source, and what does that entail? The first column to your left are the triggers for permitting for major source Title V. With those tons, usually it's a nominal 100 tons per pollutant. The permit limits are provided there, and our normal sort of annual emissions are to the far right. And that was 2025 levels there, so we're well below all permitted levels. We stay below that. Next. Also, sort of description of statewide emissions and how they're going from the power generation sector. It's just a success story. Is over the last 15 years, we've significantly decreased emissions. Lowered NOx by 81%, SO2 by 99%, CO2 by 30%, all while increasing total generation. So, the large contributor is the closing of the coal plants and just the efficiency gain with what we have with these new technologies. And it's just a great success story. And this is all throughout the nation. We have these same rates of decrease. It's just great things happening with that. Next. Facility permits. The Environmental Justice Impact Statement wants to know also what other facility permits you have to operate. Of course, we have this air permit, this renewal permit. We do have a physical connection permit that we get our water from. And then also a sewer use permit is our discharge permit on wastewater. All right. Let me see, make sure we're going to local ordinances. The EGIS wants to know, hey, what local ordinance do you have, in the city or county that you're in? In Bayonne, there's no specific local ordinances regarding these requirements. Next is to provide the screening information. And on that EGIS mapping system, they have a great screening information that provides all the different stressor levels in your area. And this is just the beginning information of ours. And you can pick that up on the EGIS website, the mapping website, and also our New Jersey DEP submittals there. Next. There's more just detailed information on each of the stressors in the area. I'm not going to go through each of them. It's all provided there publicly. You know, I think you guys probably want to get to some comments instead of going through all these things specifically, but there's different levels. There's air specific, mobile source concentrations, site contamination, transfer stations and scrap metal facilities of which we're not, points of water pollution of which we're not, other public health sectors and densities and social determinations of health. So those are the stressors and the defined New Jersey DEP, values for each of them. We then go and address each of those stressors, the impacts that we have. Next. Yeah, that one. And then so with the environmental justice impact statement says, look at each of those stressors and how does your facility potentially contribute to those? And we have to address each one of those. And that's what we do through this section. I'm going to go admit somebody on the Teams invite really quickly, do an admin checkup. I think we got everybody. Stressor impact, again, with mobile sources of air pollution. We don't have any known sources of contamination. The facility is on a old brownfields site. We beneficially reused the site for a power generation facility, so we're doing better with the land on that. Again, I mentioned solid waste and point sources of which we're not. Health and impacts on these things. Again, we don't have any specific contribution to the stressors. Emergency planning site. We do have some emergency planning criteria on there and observe all the regulatory requirements on that. Air permit site, obviously we're an air permit site, that's why we're here. New Jersey water permit, we're not applicable to those requirements. Regarding the education, unemployment, those are social determinants of health, and we're not, adversely contributing to those, obviously. Next section in the environmental justice impact statement is the public participation plan, and what we're doing with that, and it's just a just reiteration of that. We submitted the environmental justice impact statement to the city, so they have a copy of that in review. Also, it's available on the New Jersey DEP website. We posted the public notices, notified the owners within 200 feet of the property. We have the signs on the front, and obviously holding this public hearing, receiving your comments, and we'll be responding to those comments as well. Next. Just pictures of the signs on the front gate there. Next one. There's a requirement to demonstrate avoidance of disproportionate impact. I'm going to read the whole thing, but we, proven that with the DEP. The units are observing the lowest available emission reduction, also the best available control technology, and meet the state's SOTA, state-of-the-art technology for the combustion turbines. It's top tier facility meeting extremely low stringent emission limits. Supplemental information, because the OBC has those combined stressors above the geographic point of comparison, we have to do some additional information in our EGIS and present that to the public, and that's what we'll go through the next couple sections. Site mapping, what I showed you earlier, and what's in our EGIS. Pertaining to water flow and some activities like that, just information we went over already. Historical contamination, as I said, the site's been used for a long time on various industries. And BEC is just a beneficial use of that brownfield area. since 2012, rebuilding it and using it as heavily industrial power generation facility there. Ambient air quality. Just average values for readings at the Bayonne station, but also we don't have particulate matter at the Bayonne station. So I took the closest Union City High School station and to show you those. The first three rows are obviously the years. The NAAQS, the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, are presented below, and the numbers are sort of tricky because there's different measurements and time frame for those, but just providing those so you can see in perspective of where we're at sort of as a region compared to the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. And we're doing a great job so far. Subsurface hydrology. The water table there at Bayonne, it's right there on the Kilvan Col. It's about 5 or 6 feet deep. And we're getting this, the tidal influence in the area, obviously. The regulation wants us to put some localized climate and flooding information there. So just 30-year average of the precipitation, temperature, and some areas. The Bayonne Energy Center was built above the FEMA flood hazard zones. There's that. Traffic study. Some of the facilities that the environmental justice regulations trying to capture has to deal with a lot of traffic, heavily input output. We only have 15 employees, and sometimes there's only 2 people there on site. Traffic is not an issue at this facility. There's just a couple cars in back and forth. On that, very little issues. Sewage facilities. The regulation has some specific requirements regarding sewage treatment facilities, of which we're not. So we're going to skip that section. Not applicable. Stormwater management. We do follow the best industry practices, but again, stormwater management is not applicable to the facility. We're not an industrial activity applicable to the requirements. Water supply, we get our water supply from the city of Bayonne and then run it through a DMIN system to make DMIN water to use throughout the facility for our purposes. Energy supply, for the most part, when we operate, we make our own energy. And then when we're offline, we're taking energy from the Con Ed system through our transmission line and utilizing it that way. That's our only point source. We do have a backup via PSEG interconnection, but that's just a small backup for if we get cut off from Con Ed. The regulation has some prescriptive requirements for new facilities or expanded facilities, of which we're not applicable to this. This is a renewal application. We'll skip that section. Odor, dust, and noise. They have requirements on that. We meet all local Bayonne requirements on the noise, and not, we're not producing any odor or dust with our systems. 5-year compliance history, so we have to post that. And we did have one minor event a couple of years ago. It's an unusual situation where we have those black start diesel generators, and we can't start up a combustion turbine while we're operating a black start diesel generator for maintenance purposes. And unfortunately, we had some guys maintaining the diesel generators. They were operating that, and then we got called on from NISO to operate. The unit came up. We noticed it within a minute, 2 minutes, shut it down, and got the guys off the diesel generator, shut that down, and then we came back up for the grid. So it was just an admin issue. It's just a thing. It was 2 minutes of unfortunate non-compliance. We go through control measure analysis, and again, the units have the state-of-the-art backed and layer with the SCR, the CO catalyst, and obviously burning clean natural gas for the power generation on that. The third tier of the EGIS is the requirements specific for major source facilities. And this we're going to go through now. Avoidance of disproportionate impact. Some of these are duplicates, so it was mentioned prior slide. We do a facility-wide risk assessment. That's a detailed modeling of hazardous air pollutants. And there's tiers, there's risk tiers for this. We hit all the negligible risk criteria well below the department's thresholds there. So all of our modeling came out good, and that's online too as well. There's a section requiring a technical feasibility analysis. So if our control equipment, if our facility is over the 20 years, we have to relook at the control equipment and see if we need to enhance anything. Our facility is not over 20 years, so we also skip that section. Control measures analysis, again, we mentioned that already. It's pretty cool. That was about a half an hour. That's the end of the environmental justice impact materials. I'm going to open it up to public comment there, and also just mention we'll take everybody here in person first, and then get to the phone lines and get your input on that if you raise your hands. But use time for oral comments. We'll write those down. I'm also going to reiterate to our stenographer your question. I'll write it down too as well. And also, just to remember that one of the easiest ways to make comments is send that email to the info@tigergenco, just so we could have it written down how you put it in there. You know, it's just an easier way to communicate that way. But I'll just start right here, right now. If you're correct, yeah, yep.
So, facility, right?
It is just a peaking facility.
It's energy. They send a signal here, we produce that energy on peak time. So how that works?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We were going to structure this public comment period as just like, hey, provide me your questions, comments, and you know, we'll take it from there. But so, some of these things, yeah, we'll reply. Yeah, we're just a peaking facility. We operate normally about 15% capacity factor.
Planning to expand besides the battery facility, like what is the battery facility for exactly? Is that to provide less energy during peak times for your facility now?
Yeah, we have a contract with Con Ed, so they're going to take that. But yeah, I'll just take comments now and take your questions. Yeah. Well, no, provide questions and we'll respond to those at a later point. We're going to take everything down. Yeah.
Oh, you want more?
Let's do this.
What is the battery energy facility? What's that about? Iron, zinc, hydrogen cell.
Yeah, and one other thing too, this is the environmental justice.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll get his question in just a second and get it to you. Thank you. Yeah, the scope of this is the environmental justice impact statement for the Bayonne Energy Center 5-year renewal permit.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah, I'm taking it down, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So you just want all my questions. All right. How often are the emissions captured and how is that regulated by the DEP? Also, the wastewater that's discharged to the Pacific Valley Sewage Commission. Where does the water go after it's discharged? What type of filtering process is there? Where does that water exactly go? Last question is, you said you had an incident a couple of years ago that was minor, that was shut down within 2 minutes. I just would like to ask, what would happen if that situation went on when you had one unit and the diesel generator operating at the same time for a longer period of time. What would have been the worst case scenario in front of us?
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah, any comments? I'm just gonna go do the sit down.
Other environmental justice hearings and address some of the research that community members might not have heard in this presentation. But I think notes based on the presentation. So first off, the BAC has a total of 10 simple cycle gas turbines, which are obviously less effective than combined turbines. That means that they burn more gas to produce the same amount of energy and more gas pollution release. What that means, you said that only a small OBC overburden community lives next to your facility, but that's not necessarily true. About 200,000 folks live within 3 miles of this facility, and it has different and adverse effects on Staten Island and New Jersey. So when you guys turn on your turbine, right, the windfall gets to Staten Island, and that flows over pollution from the beach to that area. Secondly, for New Jersey residents, none of the power it provides actually goes to New Jersey. Instead, it's all sent to, right? So in Bayonne, there's no impact on the facility. In New Jersey, there's no impact. Secondly, my notes. So your permit often under council, you guys have a very, very high cap of about tons of volatile organic or hazardous air pollutants here, and that cap has not been accurately reported on the website. You also say again that this alone has, an impact or has minimal impact on your facility, but they have 19 out of the 26 stressors, right? And this is a question, what are you guys doing to reduce those emissions and those numbers? And also, I want to point out that you say that you collaborate with PBSC, and this is kind of the answer to your question. PBSC is a major polluting facility in North New Jersey, which the IRM is strongly against because they had to accommodate things like the waste discharge from the. So not only are you affecting Bayonne, but you're leaving justification to affect them as well. And then lastly, natural gas might be lower, but the impact is negligible, and we need more battery storage than the guys are proposing. 10 turbines is too much, and transferring that energy to battery storage will create more healthier and more widely stagnant as well as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going down the line. Any comments? Yeah.
So, hello, my name is Jonathan Smith. I'm an attorney I'm here today to urge the Bayonne Energy Center to reduce its emission and its adverse impacts on the surrounding communities of Bayonne, Staten Island, by hybridizing its facility with battery storage. So it's good to see that there are some plans for some battery storage. Those aren't GIS, so good to see for the first time here tonight. But I do urge the facility to hybridize as much as possible to reduce its emissions. Throughout the New York City region, these gas-fired nuclear plants are converting to battery storage to reduce their impacts. They want you to do the same. We looked at Bayonne's operation history, and it seems that at about 1/3 of the time that the turbines are all on, the turbines are on, they're on for only 4 hours or less. About another third of the time, the turbines are on for only 8 hours. All in all, the turbines are on for more than 12 hours, more than 20% of the time that they're all on. And batteries can easily discharge this electricity for up to 8 hours. Just one 8-hour battery added to one of the energy center turbines could reduce sulfur dioxide emissions by about 20%, and carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxide emissions, log forming nitrogen oxide emissions by about 25%. And we can get to these levels of emission reductions as long as the batteries are called upon first for the durations that they can handle, and as long as the batteries are charging when there's lots of renewable energy on the grid. And it should also be cheaper for the Bayonne Energy Center to charge up when there's cheap renewable supplying lots of power for the batteries. But batteries are not only better for air quality, they're also better for grid services. Batteries don't have to start and shut, don't have to start and shut down grids, like gas turbines, so they can provide immediate power. And this is especially important if the start and shut down can be the most convenient parts of it. And because the energy center is already connected to the grid, it use the existing interconnection, as I think you mentioned. And like the type of interconnection study required for other types of new generation sites. And this type of emission reduction is not only compelled by New Jersey's surface law, which is already today, but also by New Jersey's limits on greenhouse gas emissions from power plants. So starting in 2035, all power plants in New Jersey must emit carbon dioxide below 1,000 pounds per megawatt hour generated. But all 10 of Bayonne Energy Center turbines emit above these levels. Some of the turbines are up to 60% higher than this. So Bayonne Energy Center only has less than a decade to figure out what it's going to do to reduce its emissions. So battery storage is definitely a way to retain these emissions. Because that we urge the facility to hybridize with as much battery storage as possible and do right for the surrounding over communities in both New Jersey.
Oh, thank you. Hey, one thing that I keep in mind too is we have a lot of people in here and we have a number of people on the line too. So I'm going to say comments to a minute or two if you can make it quick, but then also please email me the comments so we have that record too. That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Hey there. I'm going to turn you into justice as well. I'll try to keep this in 2 minutes, and we will be sending one.
Cool.
So I'm here to support the organization and the members that are calling on BDC situations by hybridizing work that BDC is already doing. And I do want to put that into context because I understood it here. BDC has 10 turbines, right? And each of those turbines is a 65 megawatt turbine. This proposed battery storage is just one battery and it's 50 megawatts. So that's less than 1/10 of Bayonne's. Right? But I'm also here because BEC is a peaker plant using simple cycle turbines. And those simple cycle turbines operated in a peaker plant manner and actually emit pollution at a much higher rate than BEC is calculating. So I'm here to ask that BEC hybridize more than monitor its emissions better than 30%. So as it stands right now, BEC is located in an overburdened community like we talked about that's already adverse for a wide range of environmental stressors, and those stressors include higher cancer risk and higher non-cancer health risks from air toxics. The community's estimated non-cancer risk from air toxics is more than twice as high as the baseline comparison community. BEC is a major contributor to these adverse environmental stressors, and for example, from 2020 to 24, we found that BEC was the highest emitter of formaldehyde, which is a cancer-causing toxic substance, in all of Hudson County. And if anything, as I said, BEC is actually at the counting of them. Those 10 simple cycle combustion turbine engines are research has shown that simple cycle turbines can release significantly higher amounts of pollution when they operate at power loads below 80% of their maximum. And we found that in 2023, BEC operated below 80% of its maximum, 93% of its operating. And presumably because it operates at the peaker plant, right? But isn't 93% of the time it was operating, BEC was likely releasing more pollutants than it's reported. And just to get to the specifics here, DEC uses AP42 emission limits. There was a question about how frequently DEC monitors its emissions. There's actually a requirement for formaldehyde sample that they monitor by calculation. What that looks like is they monitor the amount of gas that goes into the facility and use this assumption, this AP42, to calculate how much they're actually producing. EPA itself has said that these AP42 emissions rates are unreliable. Research has shown that these AP42 emissions rates miss the amount of formaldehyde that's produced when these facilities are operating at below 80% of their maximum limit. So 90% of the time, the emissions rates that BEC is using are incorrect. All of this means that residents of Bayonne and Staten Island might be breathing in significantly more pollutants than are actually being. And that's the reason we're here today, right? To ask that BEC consider hybridizing a level greater than it already does. Don't get me wrong. Batteries are good. We'd like to see more. And then it actually monitors it. So we know what people are.
Thank you. And from the, Jim?
Matt, we cannot hear the speakers.
Oh,
Can they
I'm
move
sorry.
to a microphone?
Oh.
If you can talk a little bit louder so we can get you on the mic.
But I'm just more concerned because when it was first talked about the city council meeting, the record scheduler said data center were to be built, we use the power to come from the energy center. I know there's no plans for expansion or anything like that. And I know for most residents of Brooklyn, people were telling me why even come to this meeting to say anything about it, but I just want on record that nobody wants it. I don't want it currently or in the future, maybe we can forget about it and then talk back up somehow. But I just want on record that majority of the people here do not know that is going on it. And also hearing about all the emissions being brought up to it's very concerning.
Mhm.
There's also a problem with the scrap yard, so there's emissions coming from that. Yes, so run together, it's higher and higher cancer rates and things like that. But I just want to record, I don't know, I don't know, listen to use for that center. From what I'm hearing, battery storage is the key, which, so I agree that should be implemented as well.
Good, thank you. Any comments from this side in the second row?
This is Arden Dawson's presentation. Why isn't PVP not here?
They're on the line.
Okay, so-
Yeah. Oh,
They are the oversight. Or the extension, right? It's concerns where other people's numbers are not in the same way. Are you going to address, like, if we think that we, I don't think it's correct. I'll just say, obviously, you're saying that. And some how do you have that? What are the goals? Seeing that the community, like, events and whatever that will be on this, right? And you have to say, but I'm therefore, this, they taken down and sent to me. If the performance becomes what it was supposed to do, then that's going to be how really approved. But for now, everything is down. And then okay, so this process means to be that is making comments, writing down those the requirements.
we have to respond to them and sorry, just tell you about that. Yeah.
consider like this overburden community doesn't just this in terms of the market. It has all those other contamination, tank farms, the scrap metal places. They're all like extending it further. We may not be adding, but I this is what I'm saying, this process doesn't really like take comments, write them down, and that's it. Because that's the process.
Robert Bolton, Bayonne, I have 30 years of experience in environment. Taking back to what's in the shape. What I just wanted to get to, first of all, comments very good. Also, you gotta understand they have a business plan and their battery storage may not be coming from their facility. They may be buying more peak power further away, using everything. Still having to build that because it's years. It's want to clarify for people that that battery storage might not necessarily be coming from your facility. In some case, you can get battery storage from online. And secondly, your potential to emit is not what you, is that what you're permitted to emit? Or because you only operate at a capacity about 50%, 15%? So you're only permitted to operate at 15% of your potential to emit.
Yeah, I'm trying not to answer questions, just take the comments, but yeah.
Okay.
The potential to me is the permanent comments.
Okay. You're operating, but you mentioned that you had a usage capacity of 50%. But that's not a limitation here. All right, I just want to clarify.
Third row. I will address some these process things. So this is the public hearings comment period. The comment period is open until I think June 30th. So the unique thing is, so comment period for this, and it's posted, is for the environmental justice side of it is June 30th. We have a full another permitting side comment period that will come at a later point in time when they post the draft permit up on the website. So there's a lot of public participation in this process.
We told the city council that what they want to build here in Bayonne is going to be powered by your generation. And all your testing and everything have nothing to do with that. So, my question is, who's being told what? I mean, 1 minute, your generation station will power the data center you want to build in Bayonne. And there's nothing to say it has anything to do with that. And you need to test also, or you test it and do it here, with the traffic studies and the water and everything else. And that would, is that taking into consideration all the new wells in that area? That's a complete new area now from when you started in 2008 and 2012. So these are my concerns also, because I know the new test and traffic test, your email mail, traffic test will only consist of what? As we are all witness cost. But traffic study, anything else in consideration, so all your test generation and for powerful energy, explosive volume. Are they taking into consideration the new well, the new traffic, new semi trucks and everything that's gonna be going through that area, which is defined development in an industrial area. Also, taking that into consideration. Because we've seen all the traffic studies and studies in there, it's one of those things my mother told me about, school and the traffic. And you just have to, the one block in. And the helmet, 5 bucks away. That doesn't affect us. And also, the test from data center, and it's interesting, so I know the regulations are done on the state and federal, and that there's no city regulation on the power station in the city. So that would be something else, I guess the city would have to look into. And also, if this data center is able to tap into a Con Ed energy center, will the public also be able to tap into a Con Ed energy center and bypass PSG cheaper rates? That's what I would say.
Can you repeat that question?
If the data center that they put up to build during their own, they will take energy from this, new generation. That's gonna power the data center. And if they can tap into a other source of energy besides being a single G, and the public also tap into that, and can other generations be both.
I will address that specifically because it is tangent to this. It's not because of this. A month ago or so, during the council meeting or whatever meeting was happening, that was misinformation. Somebody misspoke on that. The Bayonne Energy Center unequivocally will not provide power to a data center in Bayonne or the area. It can't. It physically can't. I'm sorry about that misinformation that may have been provided, but the energy grid is very complex. We have a line that goes directly into Brooklyn, and we can't do anything else. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You also did when you said over, you only went 50%.
Yeah.
And that went over the need, so I would say, then if you hook up with gas into Bayonne, then you're using 50% or 100% of the generation.
Yeah, we can't supply power. Like
You can't put the line going to home to Brooklyn. But if they tap into another line coming out to the gas station into it, that generation should be able to generate that power.
Well, can we clarify what do you mean by a data center? So many different sizes of data center. Everybody's getting from big group of hyperbases. Yeah. That a lot and 1.2 gigawatts, which they wouldn't be able to handle. But if there was a small size data center that operates 1 megawatt or medium that operates with 10, they may be able to. But that's how I perceive it from.
Yeah, I don't want to divert the conversation from the intended environmental justice aspects of this, but yeah, unequivocally, we are not supplying power to the data center in Bayonne.
And on the environmental issue, Kevin, you just, you remember in regards to testing from the amount of gas in, that's instead of testing the pollutant coming out from the air. That would make sense, unapologetic way, that you would test the exhaust going out, not what's going into it. If it's from out, that's the air. That's it.
Thank you. My comment almost got sideswiped. I was coming out of Starbucks this morning too. I know that Costco sucks. It's hard.
And after the stuff was in, and they would, what kind of was this, and they do what they planned. What do they plan to sell the data center? And the plans are, not a little more in the air. They are for you to see what kind of decision are we making. That's what they were. That's why they want to comments, but they don't have any questions. That's what I'm saying. I just feel like right now you're saying we're not providing anything. You say that now. 2 months from now, it's like, oh, okay, well, all of a sudden now, we take care of that. You know, it goes to the kids, it goes to the spot, it goes, all right, not good.
A few questions. Sure, David. But, few questions, and it's not about taking notes and, do you mind, if you
It's, we have a transcriber. Yeah, yeah. But also I do urge you to email me directly.
how we decide about the future and how our comments and planning strong. Last, I'd like to ask the question, everything you say, like, I like to put it in contract. That's good for us to have a contract. Another question is that all the people that get sick, this class, makes me include for by, treatment, ocean of a very, absolutely, so single from time. They get sick, who's going to take personal liability or the other? Who is them? Yeah, that can answer.
Oh, yeah, well, oh, yeah. Yeah, I believe the administrative requirement is we take the comments, provide responses, work with the DEP, and we post them. Oh, on the website that we have,
Like I said, we find out about this. Policy. We just care. So what goes to the data? We the data, don't need, don't need for the data. Perfect. So last question. I see that electrical poles can be upgraded to levels of electricity as well as being last year, they used all of the being, sorry, all the heavy, all the electrical piping was retrofitted to allow 84 inches pipe for additional electrical heating. What that's all about. So to me, it's not like the infrastructure support for the extenders and most of all of that. And I'd like to get them. And what the.
So just so everybody can look at the screen, info@tigergenco.com is the email you can use to email questions. And then the postings we'll have on the New Jersey DEP website, which is at the bottom link. But info@tigergenco.com.
I don't know that. It's either like, I think it's 30 days or something like that.
I believe it is.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna circle around first. We're going to, yeah, your road. Yeah, You're good.
I think this is all about getting kindergarten and one little, like, maybe one, bring it to local, bring it into the impact of this. Maybe more than 75% don't understand, there's some extremely vulnerable people, so I let you. But I think the second part is like, I hate to use the term, but it's layman's terms, so that people live in the area, people just, like, for me, it's being informed and not learning from this, is to take this and break it down and really say, okay, here's what this is in your direction, but here's what people understand. It would be extremely valuable to everybody so we can learn and us to think our opinions and our statements properly and factually, but also allows us to really truly be with it for a whole better. That's just my recommendation because I've had to really peel apart and drop it down and break it down like sections, like, oh, I can understand, like, even though you estimate more efficient patients, right? Like, those are some good factors that you should know, but here are the other factors that we were working on. So just my recommendation, there could seem possible. That necessary.
Thank you. Think there's, yeah, excuse me.
How many days you have the batteries are going to be there? What kind of power supplies will you be using? Is it going to be utilized by the Bayonne Fire Department, which is like 2.5 miles away from you? Or is there some guys qualified for this, to do this fire supplies?
That is out of the scope of this EJ hearing, but I hear your comments here.
Yeah.
Anything else from this side? And then we'll, yep.
Hi, I'm in Staten Island to come and speak.
Yeah.
Thing to make sure that I'm heard. My name is Kelly Bilad. I'm from Staten Island Urban Center. I also represent the Staten Island Environmental Justice Coalition. So Staten Island, much like Bayonne, we have the same kind of issues and problems. These communities are consistently overburdened with pollution, ill-fitting zoning that do not complement residential areas and sit along flood zones and unmitigated riprap. These communities are home to auto and ship repair businesses, at least on the Staten Island side, aligning with last mile trucking routes, and often seeds of putrid smells from factories and peaker plants that permeate the air. Voila, BEC. Staten Island, while called the Forgotten Borough, these are the forgotten communities within the Forgotten Borough, largely made up of people of color from African American, Afro-Latino, South Asian, and a variety of Caribbean communities with a generational history on Staten Island land. We have low-income residences, just like Bayonne, medical facilities, nursing homes that are all along these routes where this air is polluting, recreational areas and daycare centers, all with less than 2 miles of polluting fields of BEC. We can no longer stand still, and I hope Bayonne agrees with me, and continue to allow cancer-causing hazardous air pollutants like formaldehyde to continue to feed our air. With high asthma and other respiratory rates filling our health systems, we are seeing asthma as one of the highest emergency room admissions than any other child illness when children go into emergency room. Prevailing winds continue to feed air into public housing and some of our schools and parks where we have walking trails, playgrounds, swimming pools, youth centers, all that butt against the shoreline facing Bayonne. We're urging DEC to rectify these emissions caused by BEC, to renew a permit for this facility with no remedies, to take corrective action in accordance with New Jersey environmental law is cruel. We cannot do this. There are things that can be done to reduce and eliminate air pollutants caused by BEC. We urge New Jersey DEP require polluting facilities affecting these overburdened communities use their authority to reduce reliance on gas-fired turbines, review this facility, and place conditions on BEC to reduce emissions. BEC should hybridize with battery. So I'm here all the way from Staten Island, wanted to make sure you got my comments, and would definitely love to hear feedback on this to not only us, to the wider Bayonne community to address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Josh Benwood. I'm also based and I also am representing New York Board for Public Interest, and we are because of the Peace Coalition, which advocates to replace these unhealthy meter plants. Now, unnecessary meter plants like BEC with renewable energy and battery storage, sensible battery storage systems throughout the region. So I would just echo some of the concerns that have been made here tonight. This facility is 10 gas turbines. And I also want to raise the question, it sounds like we don't even know the quantity of cancer causing pollutants that they're in, and they're actually being used. We just have an estimate. These are really close proximity to Staten Island communities, including public housing, including residential areas, schools, that are just a short distance away across the hill. So this has a huge direct, every time these turbines are called on to fire up. None of this is necessary. It sounds like BEC has a good start of the concept of hybridization, but it's not nearly ambitious. And all of this is technically feasible. We've seen proposals on Staten Island and in the eastern region for large battery storage facilities that can generate as much as 650 megawatts. So all of these turbines are replaceable with the batteries. This would save ratepayers money because the price of solar is coming down rapidly globally. This would benefit regional ratepayers. This would directly benefit immediate positive health impact for New Jersey and Staten Island and New York City communities that are impacted negatively by this facility. So my comment is, please come out to us with a long and ambitious plan, not only to hybridize sort of incrementally this facility, but to completely replace it in accordance with the law with renewable energy and battery storage over time. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, maybe pause for looking really late. I think almost at the end. I think that here any file with the city environmental installers. We're this organization in Jersey. And throwing out a work with colleagues and friends on really hard to picture. Even if anybody can follow themselves, I really, I probably are saying, heard the collaborate in that, not a lot of data using models supply power group. My office happens to be just a few blocks away from the substation. This they only need 20 visuals for them. And we don't want to cover the radio here, they can go in your but from our research, which we did, we found that every single in the long. In the long term, New York State has higher supplies zero emission after the year 2040. Unless it is used to support the population. Well, people just not. And I'm paying to other people in power line integrators. With batteries. And saying, what's coming to the way and sitting for your those will be called people in the communities And so the current calculation from long-term, one of the ways to take out people power in your, energy is expected to create tens of thousands of jobs over the next decade. And this is really not.
Thank you.
Explain how we're using, how this organization mission. Because of the future plant is producing the energy for the batteries. You're increasing it, all right?
Yeah, I think the organization is equal power and renewable generation is the highest. To think that we're asking it to be charged with gas turbines, it was amazing.
Let's have these conversations afterwards. Let's get to the comments that we have. You're good? Anybody else in the room before we go to the team section? Did you have one more? Yeah.
So typically, it takes over 6 months for DEP to actually have these. They have 30 days of public comment, then they have about 90 to respond. But the response time to actually receive it is very, very long. So I would put in the emails to get to these as soon as possible, because otherwise it will be possible waste.
How many people to, permanent discussion, you feel concerned with the goal. I fully against it. And that was comfortability.
Thank you. Let me go online now. All right, sorry for you all online if the volume was a little poor on that, but I urge you to raise your hand and you could unmute yourself and make a comment. I see any hands. Okay, Abe, I'm just gonna go start going down the line, all right?
Right. Hi there.
Oh, you got it. All right, perfect. Yeah, you can do it yourself. Hey.
Okay, great. Hi, yeah, my name is Abby Ramanan. I'm a project director with Clean Energy Group. We're a national nonprofit focused on advancing a just energy transition for all. This testimony is informed by CEG's work through our Phase Out Peakers initiative, which is a first of its kind project focusing on accelerating the retirement of fossil fuel peaker plants and their replacement with energy storage, renewable generation, and other non-emissions alternatives. We've done analysis of Bayonne Energy Center's emissions and operating data, and we believe that this site is a good candidate for hybridization with battery storage. And we recommend that the DEP impose a special condition requiring BEC to hybridize one or more of its combustion units with the recommended 65 megawatt, 520 megawatt hour battery system to reduce emissions at the site. Based on our analysis of the 10 combustion turbines at BEC, the gross load output of each turbine does not typically exceed 65 megawatts per hour, and it is often significantly less. On average, over the last 5 years, the plant was called upon for events of 4 hours or less, 31% of the time, events lasting up to 8 hours, 29% of the time, and events lasting up to 12 hours, 19% of the time, and then events 12 hours or more, about 21% of the time. So an 8-hour battery would be able to address most of those events, and hybridization is possible with any of the combustion units at BEC. For example, we looked at combustion unit 10 in particular. It's the one that operates with the most frequency of any of the units at the plant. An 8-hour battery would be able to address about 64% of combustion unit 10's operating events. And a larger system, a 12-hour battery, would be able to replace 81% of operating events, requiring the combustion unit to only come on for the very infrequent longer duration events. Hybridization of the combustion turbine would significantly reduce local air pollutants compared to only using the existing control measures the plant currently employs. Unit 10, again, has some of the highest local air pollutant emissions of any of the combustion turbines at the facility, partially due to its more frequent operation. An 8-hour battery system would reduce average SO2 emissions at the plant, from the unit up to 19%, and average CO2 and NOx emissions by up to 24%. This would reduce overall SO2 emissions at the plant by nearly 2.5% and overall CO2 emissions, again, at the full plant by 3% and NOx emissions by nearly 4%. Obviously, these are relatively small reductions at the overall plant, but this would increase with each subsequent hybridized unit. This would also be a fairly cost-effective measure based on NREL's most recent advanced technology baseline data. An 8-hour installation would cost approximately $2,891 per kilowatt. These are not unreasonable costs considering the substantial reduction in overall plant emissions installing a battery system would generate. However, while hybridization with battery storage has the potential to cost-effectively reduce emissions at the plant, there would need to be several additional requirements to ensure these reductions. The hybridized combustion turbine would need to be configured so that the battery system is called upon first, and that the combustion unit is only turned on for events longer than the battery system's available duration. This configuration would also take advantage of the quick response grid services batteries can provide. They have no RAM time, shorter than even the 10-minute RAM time of the existing units, and they're already synced to the grid, which are, again, services that they can provide that a gas turbine cannot. We appreciate the opportunity to provide these oral comments, and we'll be submitting more extensive written comments. So thank you all again.
Thank you very much. Next is Brooke. You want to unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, people are sort of leaving, but we're recording it. We can hear you.
That's okay. Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Brooke Helmick, and I serve as the Director of Policy with the New Jersey Environmental Justice Alliance. We are an organization that is over 20 years old and dedicated to supporting environmental justice communities across the Garden State. We played an integral role in the passage of the landmark environmental justice law and rulemaking, along with our partners, some of whom were here this evening. And since the promulgation of the rules, we have closely followed implementation, attended the vast majority of hearings, and worked with community members in overburdened communities to understand the dense text of the environmental justice impact statements and submit comments of their own. I first want to say I appreciate Bayonne Energy Center for keeping their presentation short this evening, such that we could move to the public comment portion of this meeting quickly. I'm also quite interested in the mention of battery storage projects, which, if I recall correctly from the presentation, is aimed for 2027. I would appreciate more information on this, including whether or not construction is ongoing or slated to begin in 2027. And additionally, I have several questions for what this means for the existing turbines on site, as I do not recall this being described in the aegis. To that end, the bulk of my comments are with regards to battery storage. I urge BEC and the NJDEP to require more rapid hybridization of the plant. Given that BEC is not running for long durations, this makes it a uniquely situated to hybridize. In our understanding, a 12-hour or even an 8-hour battery could replace the majority of operating events. And to that end, I am also particularly concerned regarding the emissions calculations. As a previous speaker highlighted, simple cycle turbines in general tend to be far less efficient than combined cycle turbines. And furthermore, simple cycle turbines emit at a higher rate when operating less than 80% of their maximum capacity, which, as far as we understand, is the case for about 90% of BEC's operating time. Therefore, I do call into question the accuracy of the emissions modeling rates. But even if we were to assume these rates to be correct, this still proves dangerous for the surrounding community, not just in New Jersey, but as folks came in from Staten Island, those across the river in New York. BEC emits an immense amount of formaldehyde, ammonia, and NOx. And as my colleague Colin with Earth Justice highlighted in his remarks, from 2020 to 2024, BEC was the highest emitter of formaldehyde and ammonia in all of Hudson County, and the second highest emitter of particulate matter and NOx in Hudson County. The purpose and the intent of the EJ law, both in the letter of the law and regulation, as well as the spirit of the law and intention from the legislature, is quite clear. NJDEP and facilities across the state must do all that they can to guarantee emissions reductions in environmental justice communities and to protect communities that have historically been harmed by systemic injustice. Therefore, I call on the Bayonne Energy Center and the NJDEP to hybridize and take all other steps, which I and my colleagues will outline in our written comments, to reduce local air pollution, decrease the facility's contribution to the disproportionate impact that the surrounding OBC must bear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, is anybody else? Anybody else with any comments, please just unmute your line. We'll leave this open for a little bit too as well. Just checking online to see if anybody has any public comments. We'll leave this line open for a little bit longer, just in case. Hey, all those online, with that 7:30, I see there's no comments for the last 15 minutes. Nobody's coming online, and greatly appreciate all of your input, and we'll end the meeting now. Thank you very much.